Hi guys, Miss Abate here. All right, we are going to be working on our part 2 of our comprehension reading strategy skill. Okay, so if you guys remember, that is character, setting, and events. All right, so who can remember what is character, setting, and events? What do those words mean? So character, from we learned in our first lesson, was any person or animal that is in the story. Setting is where and when the story takes place. So remember, that could be day, it can be time, it can be season, it could be any location. So there's a lot of different variations as to what the setting can be, but it's basically that part of the story that you're reading, where are the events happening? So then that brings us to events, which is actions. What is happening? So when we're writing down our events, remember, we want to write down the main things that happen. We don't want to write down every single thing, like he walked to the desk, he picked up a pencil. Those are actions, right? But we want to get the big ideas. We want to get the really exciting things, the parts that are going to make the story, okay? So today we're going to be working on another story with character, setting, and events. So I hope you guys have a piece of paper and pencil to get started for the day. Go ahead and pause the video and get that stuff now. All right, so just like we did in our first lesson, you guys are going to make a graphic organizer just like we did in the first one. So I'll help you with it again, okay? So the first thing that you're going to do, oh, that already has something on it. You're going to move over just a little bit from that red line. Draw a line straight down. You're going to move over a little bit. Draw a line straight down. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Draw across. You're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Draw across. Go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Draw across and do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you're going to write that character, that setting, and that events up at the top. Okay? So pause the video if you need more time to get that done. All right, let's get started. Sorry, it takes me a little bit with this computer. All right. So we are going to be focused on the story, Not Norman, a goldfish story. So if you haven't read this story yet, I do think that you should go and read the story before we get started, but if not, it's okay because you're going to understand the story a little bit from us stopping and talking about it, okay? All right, so I'm going to reread these 2 pages, and then I want you to write down on your paper who are the characters, where is the setting, and what are the events. Okay, now hint, you might have more than one character, you might have more than one setting, and you might have more than one event. Okay, I will help you out though too. All right, so first let's go ahead and listen to me reread the story.
When I got Norman, I didn't want to keep him. I wanted a different kind of pet, not Norman. I wanted a pet who could run and catch, or one who could climb trees and chase strings. A soft, furry pet to sleep on my bed at night, not Norman. All Norman does is swim around and 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 around.
All right, I want you guys to go ahead and pause the video and write down on your paper who are the characters, where is the setting, hint, you can look at the illustrations, and what are the events. You can also look at the illustrations for that. Go ahead and pause the video and we'll come back and talk about it. All right, so who did you write down was a character? Well, I hope you wrote down Norman, right? So I hope Norman was a character. So if not, make sure you write that name down. And remember, Norman is the goldfish. And we also have the narrator right now. We don't know his name, but we're just going to call him Boy right now because it says when I got Norman. Okay, but we haven't read his name, and I don't believe in this story it tells us his name. So we're going to write down Norman and the boy. And I'll show you my paper. Norman and the boy. Very good. All right, so what about the setting? Where does the story take place so far? Let me get back to it so that way you guys can look at it, okay? Remember, look at those illustrations, right? We can say the park. I know the text didn't say anything about being at the park, right? But that's why illustrations and that visualizing is so important. So one of the settings is at the park. And what about here? So this doesn't look like he's at a park. Where does it look like Norman's at right now? Norman and the boy are at. We can see a table. At Norman's, not Norman, I'm sorry, the boy's house. So I'm writing this stuff down too. So the setting, we actually have two. Remember I said hint, there might be more than one. You have the park and the boy's house. Very good. All right, let's talk about the events that happened. Okay. So there are a few things that you could say for this, but I want you to pause the video and I want you to write down just one event. Go ahead. All right, so what's something that you said? Something that you could say was the boy got Norman. That's an event, right? We could say the boy didn't want to keep Norman. That's an event. That's something that happened. We can say Norman swims around and around and around. We obviously don't want to write all of that down, do we? So I'm just going to go ahead and write down under my event, I'm just going to write the boy got Norman. The boy got Norman. Now again, I have those highlighted in orange or underlined in orange that you could write down the boy got Norman. We could write down the boy didn't want to keep Norman. Or we could say Norman swims around and around. Very good. All right, the next page you guys are going to go ahead and do on your own again. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and reread these next two pages. And again, you're going to write down the character, setting, and events. All right, so let's listen.
This is it, Norman, I decide. I'm trading you for a good pet. Norman doesn't move. Not even a fin twitches. How can I trade him like this? No one will want a sorry-looking fish in a gunky bowl. When I drop Norman into his nice clean bowl, he starts dipping and flipping, flapping his fins around. He looks so goofy, I have to laugh. Don't think that just because you made me laugh, I'm going to keep you, I tell him. Tomorrow, you're out of here. Norman blows a stream of bubbles.
All right, so again, there are a few things that happen. There are a few events. Maybe there's a new setting. Maybe there's new characters. Okay, so if you have any new characters, I want you to write them down on the second line. So I'm going to bring you back to me. Oh. So you guys can see how we wrote up here. So now I wrote twos for these next three boxes. Okay, so for these next two pages, you're going to write down any new characters, not Norman, not the boy, anybody new that you met. Any new settings, meaning if it's not at the park or not at the boy's house, write down the new setting, and any new events that happened. Okay, so you guys are going to go ahead and pause the video and you're going to write down new characters, new setting, and new events. Go ahead. All right, very good. So what characters did you write down? I hope none, because we didn't get introduced to any new characters here, did we? It just still again was the boy and Norman. What about setting? Was there any new settings? Well, maybe it looks like it might be in a different room, but I think we're still at the boy's house. So there shouldn't be any new settings. So this should have been easy for you. You didn't have anything under character. You didn't have anything under setting to write down. What about, what about events? What were some events that happened? Main events, remember, let's think about that. Okay, so again, illustrations showed some things that maybe the text didn't. So the text does say, I dropped Norman into his nice, clean bowl. So that tells me that the boy cleaned Norman's bowl. So that's something that happened. So he cleaned Norman's bowl. That's one. What about, did you write that Norman made him laugh? Norman made the boy laugh. Maybe you wrote down Norman starts dipping and flipping and flapping his fins. So there were three really good ones right there. So again, you could either write down the boy cleaned Norman's bowl. You could say that Norman was dipping and flipping and flapping his fins. Or you could write down that Norman made the boy laugh. Good job. I think you guys are getting the hang of it. All right, we're going to do one more, okay? So again, let's see. Let me bring you back to me. So again, you guys wrote nothing here for the second one, that page. We didn't learn any new characters. There weren't any new settings. But here, I gave you those three options that you could write down, right? So now we're here under the third row, okay? So this is where you guys are going to be writing on these two pages, or the next page that we read, excuse me, okay? All right, let's get started. All right, here we go.
The next day, I take Norman to school with me. If I talk him up real good during show and tell, maybe someone will want him. On the way there, we see my friend Austin. Austin has a real cool dog and 7 puppies. Want to swap one of your pups for Norman? I ask. Who's Norman? Asks Austin. My goldfish, I say. By the time I rescue Norman, half his water is gone.
Because we can see the dogs doing that. All right, so again, you're going to write down any new characters, any new setting, and any new events. Pause the video and do that now. All right, so let's start with characters. Were there any new characters that we were introduced to? Austin is his friend, Austin. We could even say Austin's dog and 7 puppies, because if you remember, a character are people and animals, or people or animals, excuse me. So under character, we're going to make sure we write Austin, and then we can write Austin's dogs. And I'm just going to put Austin's dogs because obviously he has more than one. He has his dog and those 7 puppies. That's more than one dog. What about a setting? So we can see in the illustrations that the setting is different. So we can see that he's walking to school. So setting we can just say walking to school. Because again, we don't know exactly where they are. It shows that it's on a sidewalk, right? But it doesn't tell us, maybe what street or anything. So let's just put walking to school. Good. And what about any events that happen? So again, he takes Norman to school. So that is an event. That is something different that happens. So I know some of us want to say that he brought him to show and tell, but that hasn't happened yet. It says if I talk him up real good during show and tell, right? So it hasn't happened yet. Another event, he sees his friend Austin. He sees his friend Austin. Another event, he asks if Austin wants to trade Norman for a puppy. And another event is, I'm going to circle it right here. What are the dogs doing right there? They're drinking Norman's water in his bowl. Oh my goodness gracious, that's so silly. I'm going to put down for the event that he is taking Norman to school. I think that's important. But of course, you can write down anything that I have highlighted or circled in orange. Okay? So if you need more time, I want you to pause the video and do that. But if not, I hope this helped you out a little bit with how to find the character, setting, and events. And I think that next time you guys read a story, you'll be good to go. All right, I'll see you guys next time.